Approaches in development. The conversation about development is in the first years emerged from a consideration of the welfare approach which related to development as a public product. Along the lines of education of health services that must be supplied to all the served by the state or any entity, the majority of the activities and funds that have been invested in the field of development were focused on supplying various welfare products. Out of a belief that the supply would reduce poverty and promote development, however, the welfare approach ignored political economic relationships among various entities, as well as local conditions, preventing the ability of local players to take advantage of the assistance that had been given to them. The right approach of development brings a relationship to human rights into the consideration of implementation of development. In essence, this approach relates to service recipients in the same way as to team members participating on the playing field, who have the right to the fruits of the development. The main point of fieldwork, according to this approach, is accomplished through reinforcing populations in order to make them capable of requesting development and taking advantage of the assistance given to them on the other hand, and through strengthening the various government bodies in order to enable them to identify the needs of the populations and satisfy those needs, which also seem like rights. In this way, an emphasis is placed on the obligation of the state to supply appropriate services and to strengthen the local population and transform it into being self-sufficient. The sustainability approach of self-sustaining the development began to develop in 1970s and received a significant impetus with the publication of the Brundtland Report by the UN in 1987. With the accumulation of testimonies regarding the influence of industrialization and modernization of natural resources, support for sustainable development grew, which relates to the needs of present and future generations in an egalitarian manner, and demands that the environmental influences of economic growth be taken into consideration in the planning process. The innovation of this approach is the fact that it relates to development in all countries of the world, and not only in developing countries. Nevertheless, the demand for the sustainable development in developing countries is limited. In that development of this kind is necessities, wider economic investment in long-term processes, which developing countries, on principle, request that they not be required to do.